Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States, served from January 20th, 2017 to January 20th, 2021. A polarizing figure, Trump's tenure was marked by significant policy shifts, controversial statements, and a style of governance unlike any of his predecessors. This video provides an objective overview of his presidency, analyzing key achievements, controversies, and impacts. Trump's presidency was characterized by his outsider approach, fueled by his background as a businessman and reality TV star rather than a career politician. He frequently clashed with the media, which he referred to as the enemy of the people, and used social media, particularly Twitter, as a direct line to his supporters. His term was defined by both achievements and controversies that shaped the nation and left a lasting legacy. One of Trump's landmark legislative achievements was the passage of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017. This legislation reduced the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%, aiming to spur investment and economic growth. The act also introduced temporary individual tax cuts, which were set to expire in 2025. Supporters claimed the tax cuts stimulated the economy, contributed to historically low unemployment rates, and increased consumer confidence. Critics, however, argued that the benefits disproportionately favored the wealthy and significantly increased the national deficit. Trump's administration pursued aggressive deregulation across various sectors. The Environmental Protection Agency rolled back over 100 regulations, including key rules targeting carbon emissions and water pollution. These actions were praised by industry leaders for reducing costs and bureaucracy, but criticized by environmentalists and public health advocates for endangering ecological and human health. Deregulation also contributed to a boom in energy production, particularly in oil and natural gas, helping the U.S. achieve energy independence. During his term, Trump appointed 3 Supreme Court justices: Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. These appointments solidified a 6-3 conservative majority on the court, shaping rulings on issues like abortion, gun rights, and religious freedoms for decades to come. In addition to the Supreme Court, Trump appointed over 200 federal judges, ensuring a long-lasting influence on the judiciary. The Trump administration's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic remains one of the most scrutinized aspects of his presidency. Initial delays in testing and inconsistent messaging about the severity of the virus led to widespread criticism. However, Operation Warp Speed, a public-private partnership, expedited the development and distribution of COVID-19 vaccines, a significant achievement acknowledged even by his detractors. Trump also implemented the Paycheck Protection Program, which provided relief to small businesses during the pandemic. Trump signed the First Step Act into law in 2018, a bipartisan criminal justice reform bill aimed at reducing recidivism and easing mandatory minimum sentences for non-violent offenders. The law was widely praised for addressing systemic issues in the criminal justice system. Trump's foreign policy was defined by his America First approach, prioritizing U.S. interests over global alliances and agreements. He withdrew the U.S. from international accords, like the Paris Climate Agreement, arguing that it placed undue burdens on American industries, and the Iran nuclear deal, which he deemed insufficient in curbing Iran's nuclear ambitions. Critics argued that these moves isolated the U.S. from key allies and diminished its global leadership role. However, supporters saw this as a necessary reassertion of American sovereignty. Trump's presidency saw significant trade disputes, particularly with China. He imposed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, aiming to address trade imbalances and intellectual property theft. While the U.S. China Phase 1 trade deal marked progress, the tariffs also led to retaliatory measures, impacting American farmers and manufacturers. Trump's renegotiation of NAFTA resulted in the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, which updated trade rules and received bipartisan support. In the Middle East, Trump's administration brokered the Abraham Accords, normalizing relations between Israel and several Arab nations, including the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. This achievement was widely celebrated as a step toward regional stability. Conversely, his decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital and relocate the U.S. embassy there drew criticism from Palestinians and international observers. Trump's unprecedented meetings with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un marked a bold attempt to address nuclear tensions. While the summits generated global attention, they yielded few concrete results, and North Korea's nuclear weapons program continued unabated. However, the engagement itself was seen by some as a significant diplomatic breakthrough. Trump increased defense spending significantly, emphasizing modernization and readiness. His administration also focused on withdrawing troops from prolonged conflicts, including Afghanistan, while prioritizing counter-terrorism efforts. Immigration was a central theme of Trump's presidency. His administration implemented stringent measures, including the travel ban targeting predominantly Muslim countries, and the zero-tolerance policy that led to family separations at the U.S.-Mexico border. Trump also sought to end the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA program, which protected undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as children. While these policies resonated with his base, they faced legal challenges and widespread condemnation from human rights advocates. Trump also increased funding for border security, including constructing hundreds of miles of border wall. Trump's presidency coincided with heightened racial tensions in the U.S., the Charlottesville rally in 2017, where Trump's response drew criticism for equating white supremacists and counter-protesters, and the nationwide protests following George Floyd's death in 2020 underscored these divisions. Trump's law and order rhetoric appealed to some voters, but further polarized the nation. Trump made history as the first U.S. president to be impeached twice. The first impeachment in 2019 stemmed from allegations that he pressured Ukraine to investigate political rival Joe Biden. The second, in 2021, followed the Capitol riot, with accusations that Trump incited insurrection. Both times he was acquitted by the Senate, deepening partisan divides. As Trump prepares for a potential second term from 2024 to 2028, his policies and rhetoric will likely build upon his America First philosophy. Key priorities could include economic policies. Trump might further reduce taxes and focus on reshoring manufacturing jobs to bolster the U.S. economy. Immigration. A renewed push for stricter border policies and an expansion of the border wall are probable. He may also attempt to implement more stringent vetting processes for immigrants. Foreign relations. Trump could pursue renegotiations of trade agreements, adopt a tougher stance on China, and continue to challenge international alliances such as NATO. His approach is expected to emphasize bilateral agreements and economic nationalism, judiciary influence. If given the opportunity, Trump will likely nominate additional conservative judges, further shaping the judiciary's ideological balance. Cultural issues. Trump is expected to engage in culture war topics, emphasizing issues like freedom of speech, gun rights, and opposition to woke policies. This strategy aims to energize his base and appeal to voters who feel marginalized by progressive agendas. Trump's potential second term would likely deepen existing political and cultural divisions, while continuing to reshape America's domestic and global policies. Whether his approach leads to renewed prosperity or increased contention remains to be seen, but it is clear that Trump's influence on American politics will endure for years to come.